Hello everybody and welcome to this, another edition of a late night screen review. This time we're talking about Terrifier 3! So, Terrifier 3 picks up just where we left off from Terrifier 2 with Sienna. She's kind of been, she just gets out of like psychiatric hospital after obviously dealing with all the issues that arose from her being attacked in the second movie. Her brother's gone to college. He's trying to get on with his life. Sienna's struggling more. So she ends up moving in with her aunt and uncle, who I think the aunt is the sister of the mother that died in the first movie. We find out that Art has kind of reconstituted himself in certain ways, and he's back, baby. And he's back to wreak havoc on a new family. And, you know, Sienna just cannot catch a break, bless her. So what did I think of the movie? Just a quick aside, guys, another quick videography. It's just one of those things, you know, we're in between shooting the next Jack Horrorhound House of Horrors. We're kind of trying to put together a couple of other videos and other bits and pieces that are going on behind the scenes. More news on that later. So at the minute, it's just kind of as and when we can grab a phone and film for a late night screen review. So apologies again for the rubbish videography, but we will get to some sort of normality at some point. Maybe this is the new normal, who knows? Anyway, so what did I think of this movie? Well, just very quickly, very briefly, I enjoyed this movie. I was a latecomer to the Terrifier series. I watched 1 and 2 back to back. I think only a few months ago. I think I even did some video on it. I can't quite remember now. Link there if it is. And really enjoyed them. And I thought, you know, it's great to see a new horror icon, a new horror character out there that can maybe have their own series. So Art the Clown, I was all in for it. And I thought, well, Terrifier 3, I get to see it at the cinema this time. And literally the last film I will be seeing at our local Cineworld. So sort of sad times. But I went to see another clown film at our local Cineworld before it closed, and this one I actually enjoyed. So hurrah! I have a couple of issues with the movie. I think overall these films just keep getting better and better. They are hyper gore slasher movies. Art the Clown is a sadistic mofo. And he not only stabs and kills people, he goes to town. So every time he finds a new victim, if you think it's just going to be a very quick kill, no. You are in for a prolonged sequence of torture and murder. It's very hypergraphic. It's almost like a comic book. It's very silly, over the top, very grotesque. I saw things tonight that I thought I would never see at the cinema in the modern age. And a lot of people were groaning and kind of like drawing in breath when certain things were happening to certain people, because a lot of it was fairly shocking, and that's me being an aged old horror hound. And yeah, a couple of things I will say is I do think these films improve and they get better and better. I do think this film doesn't jump up as this film doesn't take as much of a leap from Terrifier 2 to 3 than Terrifier 1 to 2 did. There was a huge, noticeable, marked improvement from Terrifier 1 to 2. And in this one, not so much. I think they still suffer from pacing issues. I think they do kind of go over the top with the gore sequences. And they basically sacrifice that for storytelling and characterization. And they have some great characters. Sienna, the main character, I don't know the actress's name and I apologize. But she's absolutely amazing in this film, just like she was in the second one. She spearheads this movie. She holds this film together. The actor that plays Art the Clown is absolutely fantastic, although obviously it's very one note in terms of the character itself. And then Sienna's just a great protagonist and Art's just a great antagonist. So really, you can't really go that wrong. But yeah, amazing performances from those two, from the main cast. And I think like the videography is brilliant. The effects are great. The soundtrack's fine, works well for what it is. It's nice to see a very adult 18 orientated horror movie at the cinema. It's absolutely ridiculous and over the top and makes no apologies for it, which is refreshing to see. The story's fine. It is almost like a weird retelling of the second story. in a weird way. It does lead into a fourth movie, spoiler alert. So it's not like a trilogy, like an open-ended, like a closed trilogy. It's very much open-ended for a fourth movie. And I think that the story is okay, but again, I think the pacing and the story and the characterization worked a lot better in the second movie. It just being like a slasher movie, college friends, yada yada yada, being picked off one at a time. It was almost like a kind of modern retelling of Halloween, and I think it worked really well, and the pacing worked better under that structure. Whereas this one, it's more that she's just come out of like kind of rehabilitation. Sienna, she comes to live with her aunt and uncle and their child. The brother's off at university. They kind of all come together. It's Christmas time, and Art comes back, and it just kind of starts again. But they do a lot of time where they waste a lot of time with Art, and there's another demonic entity that is accompanying Art this time, and it's not the little girl. So there's a lot of things about this film that actually I think aren't as good as they could have been, and I think they wasted a lot of potential here. Whereas in the second one, it was just a really nice jump up. It was like the first movie, but everything was improved. I think this one was okay, and it was good, and it was fine, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like that remarkable jump up in like story and telling like the a bit of backstory and mythos behind Art and where he comes from and why and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to go into very minor spoilers here. I'm not going to spoil too much, but we're going to talk about the last third of the movie because that's, I think, where all the problems are in. As I say, film I enjoyed, but the final third, it almost kind of, it really dropped the ball, I think, because it builds various new little plot elements in. The little girl, Art, the clown character, isn't in it anymore at all, and I think that's a massive shame because it was kind of fun to see like a demonic entity murderer slasher serial killer have like this weird little creature that he was seeing in his mind, and I thought that added another layer to the Art mythos that I quite enjoyed, and that's just not there, and I think that's a massive shame. And instead they replace it with a different character. But essentially what happens in the last third of the movie is that Art kind of takes a step back and is replaced with a secondary demonic character. And this second demonic character just isn't that good. It's not really well defined because it all kind of happens within this one movie, and we're still trying to deal with things that happen in the second movie. So it gets a little bit confusing as to what this new character's about and where they come from and why and how they actually link in with Art and what's the relationship. And Art almost takes this kind of subordinate kind of characterization at the final third. He's not really the main antagonist. And what he's replaced with, the demonic creature, isn't that interesting particularly. The little girl was far more interesting as Art's kind of like something he was seeing and nobody else could see. And it was kind of funny and also like weird and, you know, gross and horrific, which is like kind of what the Terrifier is all about. And this new one is just kind of this stereotypical demon creature. It wants to possess Sienna. Yeah, okay, I guess. And it's not terrible, but they could have done so much more with the final third. A lot of the film kind of, again, it overindulges in the gore sequences when you think, you know what, we could have actually explored Art a little bit more. Why, what, where. And again, if you want to keep it vague, that's fine. But I also think that this film is set in a weird kind of horror fantasy thing where it's about warrior angels and the pits to hell, and that could have been explored more. Maybe not Art the character, maybe leave him completely ambiguous, fine, but explore the universe a little bit more. That would have been nice, and they didn't do that. They kind of, some of the characters talk about things like that, but it never really goes anywhere in the final third. A couple of the characters, major characters, are actually killed off screen as well, which I think, again, it just kind of, I think it's for a pacing issue. And again, it's like, well, you could have cut down on some of the gore sequences and actually dealt with that character properly and given him a bit more of a send-off. So there was weird things like that. So I think the pacing of this movie and the final third of this movie aren't all that they could have been and weren't a markable jump up from the second film, I think. But other than that, it's a great film. It's really fun. It's really gory and graphic and over the top and ridiculous. Everything you'd expect from a Terrifier. The actress that plays Sienna is fantastic, and her story continuing is great and entertaining and fun to see, and you know, you believe in that character, and you want to see her succeed and all that good stuff. So that's good to watch. Art, the actor that plays Art the Clown, same as always, fantastic and brilliant. And it is a fun ride. I recommend it. It's not a massively high recommend, but it is a recommend from me. I recommend Terrifier 3. I'm looking forward to seeing Terrifier 4. But what I would say is, if Terrifier 4 does happen, can we end it, maybe? Can we bring an end to this at some point? Again, I don't want things to just be carrying on and carrying on and carrying on. Can we learn a bit more about the universe that this is set in? Can we give more of a stronger character arc and final kind of moment for Sienna's character? And that's all I kind of really want. Like, I kind of want to see the end to this franchise, but not in a bad way. I want to see the ending of this story. You know, these two characters, they're kind of their battle across the ages or whatever. Like, let's actually see it happen and see where it leads. So that's my review of Terrifier. Go watch it. You'll enjoy it. You'll have a great time. You might need a sick bag though, because it is pretty. Ooh, wow. But until next time, guys, stay safe, stay scared, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.